Today I want to make a quick video on the Trials rework and give my thoughts on it. There's been a lot of positive sentiment throughout the community, so I'm going to have to counteract that today with some negative sentiment. The title says that I don't like the Trials rework, and I don't. But I do want to put an emphasis on it that it's just me that doesn't like it. I don't think this is a bad thing for the community. I think the rework is actually pretty positive as a whole. It'll bring in a lot of new players that used to write the game mode off, and they'll be able to play now and get good loot, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not mad about that at all. I'm mad about other aspects of this rework. I think it's totally stripped away any of the prestige and excitement of the game mode. There's no stakes. I don't care anymore. It's just a complete joke. You just get in, you win. That's the end of it. There's not really much thought going into each match. I'm not checking trial support to see who I'm up against and really locking in. That just doesn't happen anymore. Because losing doesn't really matter. It's just kind of delaying your loot a little bit. Which is fine. It's fine. But what I don't like is this performance-based matchmaking. Years ago, before you could farm wins past flawless, before any of this rework existed, I talked about allowing people to farm wins past flawless regardless of if they lost or not for loot, and it being skill-based matchmaking when you do so. That was my proposed rework for this game mode years ago, and I want to run that clip. When you go flawless, my idea is obviously you should only play against people that are also going for wins past flawless, but when you're going for wins past flawless, losing doesn't take away your flawless anymore. I think that you should just keep that and be able to play with that card for the rest of the weekend. I don't think it's such a bad thing that a high skill player will be rewarded for going straight to flawless and then staying up in that high skill bracket of flawless players and play against each other for adept weapons and ascendant shards and all of that. So then the people that aren't as good as the weekend goes on have a better and better chance to get flawless. So I thought of this a long time ago, but they went with performance-based matchmaking and not skill-based matchmaking. And that's very important because it's contributing to some of the grossest, just most atrocious lobbies ever balanced that I've ever seen. What performance-based matchmaking seems to be doing is, for about 15 seconds, it's like trying to grab people sort of around your skill, and then it gives up super quickly and just throws in like 2 or 3 bots into the lobby, and then seems to lobby balance you with them. So in this particular case, in this match I just played, I have this duo on my team. We got Syl, who put up 1 kill through the entire game, 1 in 9, masterful performance. Now I didn't do all that great if you just look at the scoreboard here, but if we go to the right where there's actually good information, I don't know why damage dealt's not on the first page, you're going to see something far worse. This is not a healthy skew of damage dealt. This indicates that my teammates weren't shooting people and were just standing around waiting to die. Why are these players in my game? Well, it's because performance-based matchmaking is what's being used here, and the parameters are just god-awful. You get trash players on your team constantly that are just anchoring you down, making it impossible for you to win games, and those games are just not fun to play in. It's one thing to play players of your skill and just compete and just see who can overcome the other, but when you have 2 anchors pulling you down to where you barely just can't win, there's no fun in that at all. And that happens constantly with this matchmaking. This matchmaking system is awful. Just for me though, I want to keep pointing that out. It's bad for me, but there is a way to circumvent it. Run carries. If you run carries, you avoid it. If you play with people that haven't gone flawless yet this week, you don't get performance-based matchmaking, which seems like a very blatant way of supporting streamers that have kept this playlist alive, and that's fine. Good for them. They're going to have a great experience farming bots and carrying people to the lighthouse, getting views, getting donations, and running their raffles. Good for them, but that's not good for me. So I just don't like this rework. I will run carries, I guess. I'll just go on the LFG servers and say, join up if you haven't gone flawless yet. That's probably going to be the strat, especially once they implement the duo queue thing they're going to do, where if a solo matches with you, they get loss forgiveness, and duos will match trios more often, like that kind of system. That's not in the game yet, I don't think. But once that gets into the game, I won't be running duos anymore. I'll just be stacking up with people and carrying them. It's fine. There's no problem with that. It's just changed the experience. So the way I used to play isn't really possible anymore if I want to keep my sanity. So overall, it's just a negative rework for me. And I don't find the loot all that exciting. People are all posting their pictures on Twitter like, look at this loot shower, dude. Well, all you're getting is a 140 hand cannon that's beyond generic. It's the most basic, boring 140 hand cannon ever. It's a reused Suros model. It's reused already. It got added in, a year ago, 2 years ago. and a sniper with 35 zoom, which is just awful. Like, people can lie all they want that it's good, but it's not. It's terrible. It has 35 zoom in the smallest reticle you've ever seen. You're never going to hit a single shot with that thing. And then Inquisitor's coming out later this season, which is good. Inquisitor is a good weapon, and it has great perks. I wish that hit fire grip offhand strike, but it doesn't. But it does have low move closing time, which is kind of just like the meta perk combination for shotties right now. That thing will be great. I'll actually go for that, but I don't care about Exalted Truth. I don't care about the sniper. And I don't care about Ascendant Shards and all that nonsense. If I really wanted to get them, Grandmasters are still the better source of them. So, what is the point here? I don't really know. People are talking about loot and, oh, it's all accessible now, blah, blah, blah. Do we really care? I guess we do. I don't know. And Adept weapons mean nothing now. Not only the prestige of them, but also the fact that they're just not an improvement over non-Adept weapons, because Adept mods are not better than the new mods they just added in. So there's like no upgrade, which is strange to me. They haven't addressed that yet. I don't know if they're going to. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But I'd rather, instead of Trials get all this attention, that they just get rid of it. It's an outdated concept, and now it's so far from what it used to be. It's like a totally different game mode. I'd rather this attention go toward the base Crucible experience and comp. Comp to me is like, when I play other shooters, I usually go straight into the ranked game mode after I get a feel for the game. I like to just play players of my skill and compete at the highest level I can. And comp's pretty good right now in that regard, but the queue times are terrible because they're not trying to get people into that playlist at all. There's no encouragement in that regard, and obviously Destiny has some flaws with its servers and things like that are kind of holding it back from ever being that competitive, but I'd rather be there, but I can't really be there, especially when Trials is up. The queue times, comp's a ghost town right now, which is just unfortunate. You know, I wanted to do the Ascendant Zero grind and go for that emblem, but you know, I'm going to have to wait for weeks where Trials isn't active and Iron Banner isn't active. So weekdays, essentially, to play comp. So that's my little rant. For me personally, the experience has just gotten worse. I'll have to change the way I'm playing to circumvent these awful matchmaking parameters. And I'd just prefer things go elsewhere, resources go elsewhere in this game. But that's just a me thing. Let me know how you're feeling about the Trials Rework, if you've gotten your first flawlesses or whatever's happened with you. Because I'm interested in seeing what's going on with other players. Because you know, I'm not the only one out here. But for me, it's just kind of a downgrade. I'm not having that much fun in these matches. A lot of them are poorly balanced and just overall kind of insufferable. So that's it for the video. I'm out.